Hello viewers, welcome to Ekam Academy. In this video, we are going to discuss about a big win that Indian diplomacy had made, that is securing the release of 8 Indian sailors who were arrested, then sentenced to death and commuted by Qatar's government, and also were now they have landed on India just because of there is a huge diplomatic win, okay, because a lot of diplomatic effort is involved in securing their release, and this is all possible because of personal intervention by our Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, and there is also so much of back channel diplomacy that happened here. Okay, we are going to discuss what is the level of India and Qatar relations and what is the background of this issue and how now we can secure the release of these 8 Indian sailors. So these are the things which are going to discuss as part of this video. So we'll start here. You can see this is the location of Qatar. You know, Qatar is a West Asian country, and you know this is having capital as Doha. Okay, you know Doha is very significant in terms of World Trade Agreement or World Trade Organization. Also, there is an agreement with respect to agriculture which was signed in 2008. So in this context, you have to know it is very important because you can see here we have Gulf of Bahrain, and on the other side we have Persian Gulf. Okay, so it is having a strategic location. Then if you see, this is the area where Qatar is located in a broader way. You know, Persian Gulf, in the other side we have Iran, you know, Bandar Abbas port, and here you have Gulf of Oman where we have this Chabahar port also. So in this context, Qatar location and India's relation with Qatar is also very important. Then what are we going to discuss as part of this video? Why it is a news, background of this present case, what are the bilateral relations between India and Qatar, what are the challenges that India and Qatar are facing in bilateral terms, and we also see this issue in different prelims perspective. Now we are going to see this forms part of GS paper 2 as part of international relations, and that also bilateral relations which India enjoys with other countries. Now I'll just explain what is the background of the issue, just understand. So you know, in August 2022, 8 Indian sailors who have worked as part of Indian Navy, they were arrested by Qatar's government. But the grounds of arrest was not announced. Okay, so even Indian government or Qatar's government did not made it public what are the grounds on which they were arrested. But according to media reports, there are some reports saying that they were arrested on the grounds of espionage, especially working for Israel as spies. That is why they were arrested. So 8 personnel of Indian Navy or 8 Indian sailors were arrested. Then from then we started taking this into consideration. We started maintaining and we started asking for consular access, and we started trying release of these 8 Indian sailors and all. Then what happened is in October 2023 we got consular access. You know, consular access is provided under Vienna Convention, that is given to the Indian ambassador to meet. Okay, so Indian High Commissioner or Indian ambassador, okay, so he was allowed to meet these 8 Indian sailors in Qatar's jail. Okay, so you know the consular access was given, but later, and unfortunately in October 2023 only, they were sentenced to death. Okay, death penalty was awarded. From then, Indian government started taking this more seriously, and they started trying to negotiate and try to ask for appeal. Okay, so then what happened is in December 2023 itself, this death sentence was commuted. Okay, so you know, in Indian polity also we'll learn about pardoning powers of the government, right? So death sentence was awarded, death sentence was commuted, means this was converted into life imprisonment. Okay, life imprisonment. So that means till they die, they have to be sentenced in the jail itself. This is what happened. But what are the options that even in then also India did not leave this issue there itself. Okay, so there are different options that India has explored. One option is India and Qatar has an agreement with respect to prisoners save. Okay, that means according to that bilateral agreement, in case if any other country's national were arrested in another country, then those persons can be brought to the native country for the rest of the sentence, and they can be sentenced in our own country's jails. That means the 8 Indian sailors who were arrested by Qatar's government, if at all, okay, if this life imprisonment was only the final option, then they can be requested by the Indian government according to this agreement to be brought back to India, and they can be sentenced in Indian jails for the rest of the term. So that is one option we have, agreement. Okay, so then second option is we can take this issue, okay, through legal appeals. Legal appeal is another issue which we have tried, and also taking this issue for international courts like ICJ, like Kulbhushan Yadav case and all. This is another option we have. And fourth option we have is Deft Diplomacy. Okay, Deft Diplomacy means politically intervening, like high political authorities like Prime Minister, Minister of External Affairs involving in this and securing their release. This is what worked in Indian case now. And we have another interesting thing is campaigning diplomacy. Campaigning means campaigning at the international level for securing the release of these persons. So these are all the options that India had when these persons were sentenced, or you can say their sentence of death was commuted. Then these are all the 5 options India had at that point of time. But now through this Deft Diplomacy, that is political intervention in this particular issue, because you know, when COP28 was held recently in November, okay, you know, in October itself they were given death sentence. Okay, at that point of time there is no commutation, but after this October only, in November, you know, around November 30 to December 12th, we have this COP28 of UNFCCC that happened in Dubai. Okay, so on the sidelines of this COP28, Qatar's Emir and also Indian Prime Minister had a dialogue between them. So during this particular dialogue only, there are some media reports that our Prime Minister has requested that these persons have to be sentenced free. Okay, so that is what that is the outcome. That is what we are seeing in the recent times. That is completely they were released free because of this intervention or because of the Prime Minister's efforts. Okay, so this is all what happened. So they were arrested almost in 22, and by February 2024, out of 8 persons, 7 Indian sailors already came back to India. 1 person has to come. Okay, so this is what the background of the issue is. Okay, so you can see 8 Indian naval persons are arrested. Then they were solitary confined, means confined to jail. And you know, again, because this is on the grounds of espionage for working for Israel. Okay, that is what according to media reports, and they were awarded death penalty in October itself, October 26th. Okay, death sentence was awarded, and you know, appeal was filed by India in November, and you know, consular access was given on the sidelines of this COP28 summit in Dubai. So our Prime Minister has requested for their release. So you know, what is the India and Qatar relations? So here we should know what are the bilateral relations. Qatar became an independent country in 1971 itself. Okay, so India became one of the few countries which have recognized and which have established diplomatic relations with Qatar as soon as it got its independence. Okay, so diplomatic relations. If you know, Qatar was previously colonized by which European power or colonial power? Answer in the comment section. So that means in 2023, it is marking 50 years of bilateral relations. Okay, so this is what you have to keep in mind. 1973. Then in 2008, our former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, he became the first Indian Prime Minister to visit Qatar. Okay, so Manmohan Singh has visited Qatar, and in 2015, okay, so Qatar's Emir, okay, so he visited India for the first time. Then in 2016, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji first time visited Qatar also. Okay, Modi visit also happened in 2016, and now he is going to visit Qatar again. This is going to be his second visit. Okay, as part of UAE visit, he is going to visit even Qatar also to show the gratitude for this securing the release of 8 Indian sailors. So this is all what you have to remember. But why Qatar is important in means there are different things which we have to look into, because India is importing this LNG, liquefied nitrogen gas. They're importing from Qatar, and Qatar is the largest supplier of this LNG to India. This is why one important reason we have. And with respect to defense also, we have good collaboration. Okay, we have exercise like Jair al Bahar. Okay, so this is a defense exercise we are conducting along with Qatar. Okay, so in terms of defense, and in terms of like you can say in terms of Indian community in Qatar, almost 8 lakh Indians are there who are working in Qatar. Okay, and they're also sending almost $750 million of remittances back to India. This is another thing as part of culture diplomacy also we have. Okay, and you know, Qatar is also very important because in the recent times we have signed a deal in terms of LNG until 2048. Okay, so Petronet Indian company has signed a deal that it is going to secure this LNG supply from this particular Qatar, almost it is worth of $75 billion. Okay, this is a huge agreement that was signed between Indian company Petronet and Qataris government. Now, these are the bilateral things which we are enjoying. Okay, so bilateral trade is almost $20 billion between two governments, India and Qatar. Okay, so in many contexts we are sharing our bilateral relations, and that became strong in the recent times because India is becoming the third largest consumer of oil across the world. So as India, India's market has a huge potential for all the West Asian countries. Every country in West Asia, they're trying to secure India to be their market economy. Okay, so that is why even Qatar also, they have tried to make India a good importer of their particular products. Okay, in this way, if you understand this, securing this release of 8 Indian sailors, okay, it is not only having political things, geopolitical things, but there is also geoeconomic interests of Qataris government which is involved. But on what grounds they were released, again, it is not made public. Okay, whether they were released by the president of Qatar or whether they were released on pardoning powers of the emir. Normally, emir of Qatar, who is the king. Okay, so he will be releasing these prisoners, especially foreign prisoners, twice in a year on the grounds of pardon. Okay, most of the times it is foreign jailers only or prisoners only. So in the same thing, we don't know, but what is the statement that was released is reflecting that they were pardoned by the emirs Qatar. Okay, this is what you have to remember. Then we have seen already. But what are the challenges in between India and Qatar relations means? There are different challenges. Okay, like for example, if you have seen, Qatar is, so before going to challenges, one important thing we have to remember is India's support in UNSC. India's seat in UNSC is also being supported by Qatar strongly. And like with respect to challenges, mainly in abrogation of Article 370, Qatar is funded this Al Jazeera, you have the channel that was also funded by Qataris companies only. So they have raised voice against this abrogation of Article 370. At that point of time, there is some drop or pause in this diplomatic relations between India and Qatar. Not only then, in between this, in the recent past only, Prophet Muhammad was criticized by one of the political party spokesperson in India. At that point of time also, Qatar has showed its reluctance, okay, and it did not show its welcome gesture with respect to that statements. It strongly demonstrated its protest against the statements made, and also with respect to Israeli bombardment on Gaza, because Qatar is a Islamic country, so they were sympathizing with the Palestinians. So when Israel is bombarding this Gaza and we have not taken any stance whether supporting Israel and Palestine, at that point of time also Qatar has raised this issue of being sympathetic with Palestinians. So like this, we have some issues in the recent past between the India and Qatar. So these are the challenges which two countries are facing. Then another important thing you have to keep in mind is Qatar is part of one organization, that is Gulf Cooperation Council. So not only with this Qatar, we have other countries also forming part. 6 countries are part of this Gulf Cooperation Council. Those are UAE, Saudi, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, and Oman. So these are all the countries, 6 countries which are forming part of Gulf Cooperation Council. Do remember, Iran or Iraq is not a member of this council. So this is what you have to keep in mind. This is a political and economic alliance which was established in 1981 for promoting economic security and cultural and socio-economic interests between 6 states. Okay, we have discussed those 6 states here. You can see Qatar is also one country which is forming part of this Gulf Cooperation Council. So yesterday's previous prelims question is Agriculture Produce Market Committee, APMC, is established by? It is established by state governments. Okay, as I told you, this is under state subject. That is why center is not able to bring a huge law, okay, or which is solving the agriculture marketing related issues. Now time for prelims question. You can see which of the following is not a member of Gulf Cooperation Council: Iran, Oman, Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. Answer in the comment section. Mains question: the Gulf region has economic, strategic and cultural significance for India. Discuss. So in this aspect you have to discuss economic, cultural, strategic interests of Gulf region. Okay, so in every context you have to address 3 to 4 issues or 3 to 4 points why it is important for India. Now, as we have come to the end of the discussion, what did we discuss in this video? We have discussed how India could secure the release of 8 Indian sailors who were sentenced to death by Qataris government, and what is the meaning of Deft Diplomacy we have seen, and also we have seen what is the background of the case along with India and Qatar relations, and what are the challenges that India and Qatar relations, okay, are facing And also we have seen about an organization called Gulf Cooperation Council, in which Qatar is also a member. So all these are the things which we have discussed as part of this video. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.